Kelly hasn't really been out in the public much lately, but she did decide to respond to Colin Kaepernick's tweets about US aggression toward Iran. So first, let me give you what Colin Kaepernick had tweeted, and then I'll give you her response. She said, "There's nothing new about American terrorist attacks against black and brown people for the expansion of American imperialism. America has always sanctioned and besieged black and brown bodies both at home and abroad. American militarism is the weapon wielded by American imperialism to enforce its policing and plundering of the non-white world." Now, anyone who knows anything about American history and American foreign policy sees what he's talking about here. This isn't simply about race, this is about US foreign policy toward countries that are typically majority black or majority brown, right? And why? Why do they do that? And I'm gonna fill in those blanks in just a second, but Megyn Kelly, in her lack of sophisticated thinking, says, because everything is racist, everything, even fighting back against terrorists who kill Americans. Nike feeling proud. Okay, so if you're so concerned about terrorists killing Americans or terrorists killing people that they shouldn't be killing, how about the fact that Donald Trump defended Mohammed bin Salman after he ordered the killing of a US resident and Washington Post journalist, Jamal Khashoggi? Didn't bother you, right? Didn't bother you. I mean, it's just such a disingenuous argument. And besides which, Colin Kaepernick is actually making an important point that isn't often made by public figures, especially people in the entertainment industry or in athletics. Colin Kaepernick comments about things that are so important to shed light on. And US imperialism is incredibly important to discuss, especially in the context of what the United States is doing in the Middle East right now. So for anyone who maybe didn't have, and most people in America didn't, like the appropriate history lessons about what the US has done with coups abroad. We'll do a quick run through of it. And I wish we had more time because there's so many interesting details to every single one of these examples, but we're just gonna run through some of the examples right now. So first off, when it comes to Latin American countries, our CIA has loved orchestrating coups. We have orchestrated coups in Argentina, Brazil, Cuba, Chile, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, Uruguay, okay? Now we attempted to stage a coup in Cuba, we failed there. So we weren't successful in every single case, but every single time you see this happen, especially in Latin American countries, there are US business interests involved, right? It's not because we're trying to spread democracy, it's because there's some sort of resource that the United States government wants access to. So we've done coups in countries like Iran. So in 1953, there was a coup in Iran. It was orchestrated by the United States. Despite continued speculation about the CIA's role in a 1949 coup to install a military government in Syria, the ouster of Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh is the earliest coup of the Cold War that the United States government has acknowledged. They've acknowledged it. Okay, but you don't hear much of it in US history classes. In 1953, after nearly 2 years of Mossadegh's premiership, during which he challenged the authority of the Shah and nationalized an Iranian oil industry previously operated by British companies, he was forced from office and arrested, spending the rest of his life under house arrest. Oh, did you think that you could just nationalize your country's oil? And the US would let you get away with it? We don't think so. Let's move on. Guatemala in 1954. Though the United States was initially supportive of Guatemalan President Arbenz, the State Department felt his rise through the US trained and armed military would be an asset. The relationship, though, soured as he attempted a series of land reforms that threatened the holdings of US-owned United Fruit Company. A coup in 1954 forced him from power, allowing a succession of juntas in his place. Classified details of the CIA's involvement in the ouster of the Guatemalan leader, which included equipping rebels and paramilitary troops while the US Navy blockaded the Guatemalan coast, came to light in 1999. I mean, the examples go on and on and on. Congo in 1960, what we did to Patrice Lumumba. Like, I mean, how many more examples do you want? Okay,
I think she doesn't want any.
Lumumba.
And I would argue she probably doesn't care.
She doesn't, like, but that's what I want to know. Look, Megyn Kelly's not dumb. I don't think she's a dumb person. She's a lawyer. She worked her way up to, pretty lucrative gigs at Fox News, and then I think it was CBS or NBC.
No offense to us, but being a host doesn't necessarily mean you're a genius.
No, I get that, but
she had a public spat about how Santa's white. She's kind of dumb when it comes to racial stuff.
You're right.
To hold these simplistic, stupid, bigoted views on race, you can't be that intelligent.
You guys, the United States will go into countries and overthrow democratically elected leaders. We just did it in Bolivia. We will do that. We will go into a sovereign country, overthrow a democratically elected leader for our own business interests. So when someone draws attention to that because they want our country to be better, to keep our country safe, to keep sovereign countries safe and democratic, it's a dumbass response to say, oh, because everything's racist.
Yeah, it's hard to be Megyn Kelly. People, when you say bigoted things, people call you a racist. It's rough.
That's the woman who gets paid tens of millions of dollars to be an idiot. It's devastating. That's what this country values. And
she's so awful that she makes me like Charlize Theron less.
No, don't
Although
say
Bombshell
that.
was pretty good.
It was okay.
Yeah,
and Charlize Theron is a national treasure.
She is, exactly.
Yeah.
She's as bad as she ever was when she was on Fox News. She somehow managed, as she pulled the ripcord, got out of there, to seem more reasonable than someone like a Sean Hannity or Bill O'Reilly, but she's not. She was picked for that position because she believes the same sorts of things that they do.
I want to give some snaps to Colin Kaepernick because what he was drawing attention to there is important. And a lot of people in America never get the appropriate schooling or learn the appropriate history of what our country has done. And you need to understand the history to really dissect and understand what our current foreign policy is. We should be able to hold our elected officials to a higher standard, and we should not allow them to sell us this nonsense about how the US government is looking to spread democracy abroad, when in reality, we've done a lot to undermine democracy in other countries consistently over the decades.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.